What's up, guys? I'm here with Beth. I'm really excited to talk to her today. Beth, I know that you just came on with us pretty recently. I think it's been like a month or so now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
really excited to have you and talk about how your first month's been working together in Account Advantage Elite. So just to kick it off, can you just briefly introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Beth Hostetler, and I work with entrepreneurs in more of a mindset coaching, heart set space to really make sure that they have healed through anything limiting belief wise that could be holding them back from showing up in their business completely authentically and really being able to step into their passion.
That's so cool. So how did you like get into that?
Well, I did it for myself first, which is huge. I realized that, there were experiences that I had been through in my life that were some traumatic and then some that were just keeping me in a fear-based mindset and holding me back from doing things that I loved. And some of them were so far back into my childhood that I didn't even remember them or know that they were creating patterns that were holding me stuck.
Gotcha. Okay. So some personal experiences kind of led you to
Hmm.
you became your own case study,
Yeah.
so to say.
Yes.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing that for?
Well, I've been doing it somewhat for free as just like a side passion for a few months, but you were really the catalyst in me having the structure that I needed to make it a business. So about a month and a half, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's go back to that like month and a half ago then, and like let's go back to the beginning. Where were you at when right before you started working with us?
So I was a CPA. I was doing taxes for about almost 7 years, 9 to 5. And I was faced with this decision at my firm where I had to decide if I was going to stay in my career path or not. And I just really took it as my chance to leave. And when I left, then I was like, well, I might as well do what I'm passionate about. So just a whole rebirth.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I could totally resonate with that too. I went through that same adventure. Very cool. Was it scary when you put your flag down and said, "I'm gonna start this thing"?
It was, but it was like a excited scary, which let me know that it was the right decision. And I had done so much inner work that I felt so certain that it's going to succeed as long as I just don't stop.
Love it. Love it. Um, let's start with what did we start off with? I believe we had a battle plan call together. Do you remember what we spoke about on the call?
So you were really helping me in terms of like narrowing down who I was going to be talking to because I'm someone that just wants to like help all the people and like I'm very creative, so I get into this like flow state and it's hard. Like my opportunity for growth is really like getting in focused energy and focusing myself in one spot for long enough to actually generate the results. So you helping me narrow down my target, I think was the biggest thing in that call.
Cool, cool. And so we talked about your target market and who you wanted to help. So um, did we also talk about delivery on that as well, like how you're going to deliver your services?
I think that you had started to like plant the idea of it being a group coaching, but I don't think I don't know that we had necessarily decided. I think you were just keeping me more focused on like what's the need that you're feeling, like what's their problem, what are their pains, like what, like getting me in their mind, which was really, of course, just myself a few months back or a year back about. And so kind of bringing me back to that place of like what I was thinking about, what I was struggling with, and where I was at that I could meet my past self online or, in person,
Gotcha.
wherever.
That's so cool. So you got really aligned with your past self and like what those problems were and what you could feel like you could solve for that target market.
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. And so once you had that figured out, you identified, okay, there's this problem. Um, where did you go from there?
Well, there's a problem, and then the process I had already had, because the same process that I had used. But I wanted to take it like one step further in terms of like how I can then help these entrepreneurs, probably mostly women, um, utilize the new mindset that they have, and they've already like healed their past. It's no longer holding them back. Now, what are they going to do to create the business of their dreams? So it was like a merging almost. So doing a little bit of one-on-one, kind of like you did with me in the beginning, and then bringing it to the group setting.
Totally. Gotcha. Um, Very cool. So you identified, they want to build a dream business. Um, and then where do we go once we identified, okay, this is the offer? How did you start getting that out there to the world?
I started like writing to myself on Facebook, basically writing as if I was writing to that specific avatar, that person, and in that space that they're in right now. And then I'd share like almost how I would move through the challenge that I was faced with. And I think just showing people that you don't have to be some sort of expert, but you're just like one or two or five steps ahead of them, and that you can bring them to that place is enough to get them engaged, that you can then continue the conversation further.
Hmm. And like you said, you were only a few steps, you were just not that many steps ago. You were them, right?
Exactly. And just
Gotcha.
that's almost like a great story to have, because it's like, look at the time difference. It's not that much of a time difference, but they can see the building in like my confidence and like putting my voice out there and sharing my story and really the mission that I have. They can see how fast it happened because they saw me online,
I love that.
already.
Like you're your own best transformation. That's so
Mm-hmm.
cool. I know a common thing that comes up from talking to accountants and talking to advisors is like not knowing what to write or not knowing what to put out there. Is that something that you've struggled with? And if so, could you share some tips on like what you do to get those posts written?
Yes, I love writing, honestly. But I wasn't always that way. And it's something that I have to do daily to remain in that state. So like there was a time when I would sit there and I would be like, what am I going to post? Like, and I'd stress about it almost all day. So I'd put it off. And so I found if I like center myself every single morning, like whatever your morning routine is, mine involves like meditation and like sitting in some silence to like allow those ideas to flow. And I find that if I do that every single morning, it's like my brain becomes conditioned to expect that those thoughts are going to come. And so then I can just continue with the posting. It's not like I'm like searching for ideas back here.
Hmm.
So putting
Gotcha.
that structure, I think, in is so important. And then also just I write a lot, like I talk. So I read through it and I make sure I read out loud to make sure it sounds like me. And then I break up the spacing, like technical stuff, like breaking up the spacing so that people can not get overwhelmed with like huge paragraphs, I think is really key.
It's huge. The copywriting 101 over there. Awesome. So you have your offer figured out, the service offering, and you start to put your message out there that you've been writing to yourself. How did you start to get people interested in, what you're doing and your services?
I think that was the part where you came in again, like really helped me to focus my attention, because if I didn't have you to, you know, to direct me into the groups that I was meeting people in, if I didn't have you to really direct those conversations, I felt like I was almost like throwing spaghetti at the wall, like, and just like putting it out there for everyone and not getting those conversations to flow very well. So meeting people in the Facebook groups that I probably would join if I was starting to pursue my passion as a brand new business owner. And like confidence type groups for women, like those sorts of things. And then just commenting on their stuff and offering like a chunk of value, like something. And I looked at that too as not like a waste of time, because I looked at that as like me developing myself as a coach. So, it's really important to reframe, I think, what you're doing as you're attracting your clients. And so that it doesn't come with like, oh, I have to do these comments in this group. And like, when you frame it as like your learning curve, it can help too. So doing that, and then carrying it to Messenger and just getting them immediately on a call.
Love that. So, feel free. How could you share a tip on like how you actually made that transition from comments to Messenger combo?
Sure. Let's see. Well, the one I offered was like some journaling prompts. I know I used that one. That generated a lot of activity. And so I just kind of like went through my own. I use journaling a lot in personal development. So it's something that I use with my clients as well. And so I went through my own journal and found prompts that I had used and just offered them for free. And it generated a lot of free value, which then even people were saying to me like, oh, I've never thought about money this way, or I've never thought about this way. And so like you've already started to get them thinking a different way, which is the way that they're going to get new results. So when you've brought that value before you've even asked for anything in return, I think is huge. So then I would just say, well, would you be open to having a call after you do the journaling?
Gotcha. So just to summarize that, you went into your target Facebook groups, and it sounds like you put a post out there about, giving a freebie away that's actionable and delivered a result with them with the journaling scripts, right? And then you took that, people were like, yeah, I want that. And you took that to Messenger and ultimately took that to a strategy session.
Yeah. Yeah. Either that, or like if they made a post asking for like advice, I would leave advice. Or if they like posted about a struggle that they had, then maybe in the comments I would say, oh, I've been through that, like this is what I did. Or offering that free value in that way. And I'd say like if you have other questions, feel free to reach out.
Love that. And did you have any hesitation or any anxiety or any hesitation with generating strategy sessions or like booking calls or anything like that?
I probably had a little bit at first. I think I was more nervous with the people that knew me than I was with the strangers.
Uh-huh.
But that's, it's all internal. So I mean, how we show up is what we'll experience.
Love it. Okay. And then how has that been? How many do you know how many strategy sessions you've generated? Not sure. Over the past week, 2 weeks.
I had 4 yesterday. I had 2 today.
Wow.
I think 3 tomorrow.
So you're loading up your calendar.
Yeah. And it's like really fun too, because it's the start of what I'm going to be doing eventually. So
that's so exciting. And now you're getting on these calls, and how are the strategy sessions going?
Good. At first, I was really worried, but you again redirected me back in terms of what I was saying and the flow of the conversation. And I was like almost hesitant to ask for a sale, but I liked that you had me ask permission to show them the action plan. And then they all, of course, were like, yes. And so that made it more comfortable for me to ask. And then I just ripped off the Band-Aid,
Love it. So you took action.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. So now you're working on loading up your coaching program?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And we're what, 1 month? We've worked together for about 1 month now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you brought on did you get any other gigs too? So if I recall, you think you ended up working with you have another gig that you signed on, right?
Yes, that came out of nowhere. That was a group session too. And yeah, so that was pretty cool because that was like just came to me out of the blue without trying. And then I've another one-on-one person as well.
Awesome. That's great. And
Mm-hmm.
you've literally only been in business for a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you're blowing up your calendar, you're closing clients. I love it. Um, what's the number one thing that you think we talked about a lot? What do you think's the number one thing that you've learned over the past month working together?
Mm. I think having that, I know it's a lot too hard to narrow one to one thing. I think just having the structure because I tend to, like I said, want to do everything, want to start everything, and then I tend to get lost in the details of it all. And like, well, if I do this, how that like, so you having you redirect me back to what's really important is so huge. Like even it's like I need to make this like graphic or no, like you don't need to do that. You just need to be on the phone. And you just need to like post once a day or twice a day or whatever, and you just need to book calls. Like so you redirect me back to the real activity because all the other stuff was just noise and procrastination and fear.
Love it. So just staying focused on like what are those needle moving tasks to get the business growing.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome, Beth. So what ultimately, when we talked way back 30 days ago, like what ultimately made you say yes to coming on board and working together?
I think the fact that we had similar situations that we had been in terms of like both realizing we weren't necessarily passionate about the preparing of tax returns and books and whatever. So I think that was huge, but I think just your like 100% belief, like it, like I didn't necessarily fit your exact client avatar either, but you just I told you what I wanted to do and my dream was, and you're just like, oh yeah, like it's gonna happen. And everyone needs that. I really think that everyone needs some sort of coach or consultant in their life, and
Mhm.
that person may change over time, but you need someone that believes in what your vision is.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha. Love that, and keeps you on the straight and narrow,
yes.
the tasks that matter, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, fantastic. Would you recommend us to others?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say? Like, who do you think that we're a good fit for?
I definitely think for anyone that's wanting to do some sort of business advisory because you've got that mindset, but you've also got the system that's worked that can apply to other professions as well.
Gotcha. Can you expand just a little bit on that?
In terms of like, I mean, like I am not doing accounting professional services, but your system still works for what I want to do. So anyone that really wants to do coaching or consulting or um, to start or scale a business.
Hmm. Love it. Thanks so much, Beth. I really appreciate you jumping on here. Where can people find out more about you online?
Facebook is one.
Yeah,
Facebook, and then Instagram too.
awesome. So Facebook and Instagram's the best place.
Mhm.
Love it. Awesome, Beth. So thanks for coming on.
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited. I meant to ask you too. Where are we going from here? What do you see coming over the next 30 days?
Well, my program's launching on June 1st, so that's going to be 6 weeks of fun. And then I mean, I see like digital courses, I see so much like content. I see, yeah,
Hmm.
long term, like 3 years retreats, like other things. So yeah.
Hmm. Love it. And your audience loves you so much already. I'm just so excited for what's to come. This honestly, I'm so excited.
Me
So,
too.
thanks so much, Beth, for coming on, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.